Alright, we have got these all ready to go. You need to grab some kind of marking tool that will wipe off from your vinyl. This is from Warmino. It's just the silver pen that kind of wipes off. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to find the center of the bottom of your side panel. Make a mark. It really needs to be on this side, from what I remember. Do that to both of these. Then I have some explaining to do. Okay, so in the end of the instructions, she tells you to slip in some Decovil Heavy. Now, I don't have any Decovil Heavy right now, and that's fine. I wanted to explain that I'm going to be using this one-sided interfacing on one side. I went ahead and I put a bunch of double-sided tape across here, pressed it down really good, just so that I have the interfacing that I need. Because if you don't use a Decovil Heavy or you don't use some kind of stabilizer, I hope you can see that this part right here kind of curls up. It really needs that stabilizer so that it will stay down. And I'm going to go ahead and I've got that. I just wanted to show you guys in case you were like, what's that? That's what it is. Alright, now we're going to fold it up again like we did before when we were trying to find these marks, and you need to find the center. The center is going to be right in between your purse feet. So I went ahead and I made my little mark and I did it on both sides. The next thing that you're going to do is we're going to take, let me remember because this is backwards. Okay, yep, there we go. So we're going to take our center mark. So you're going to have to see on this side my center mark and on this side my center mark. And I'm going to clip those together. Then you're going to have to work around these seams and bring this bag together. And we're going to do this on both sides. And your edge of the top of your side, I'm going to have to cut this down a little bit, should meet up with the edge of your front panel where you put your overlay. There we go. I can word today. Yes, I can. Yeah, I'm going to need to cut that down. You don't want any of your interfacing in your seams. That's why you put the Decovil Heavy in at the end, so that it's kind of tucked in between. Oops, there goes another one. Another one bites the dust. Okay. Alright, so I am going to have to go back and cut a little bit of that white out. But after you have got this all clipped together, the next thing that you're going to do is we're going to measure 1 inch down. You're going to start sewing these two together at the 1 inch. There's a reason for that. It's when we do our lining. So you definitely want that. So let me go straighten out the white in here, and then I'll take you to the sewing machine and we'll start. You want to make sure that you leave the 1 inch on the flap of your purse. That side. We're going to sew all the way up on this side. Alright, so I went ahead and I marked 1 inch down from this edge, making sure that it's on the part where your flap is. And I am going to start sewing there. I am going to put my stitch length to a 4. If my sewing machine was turned on, that'd be helpful. Now, while you're sewing this, you're going to want to make sure that that side pocket and your outer panel are right on top of each other. You don't want one poking out more than the other. Alright, so I've got one side on. You make sure that you stitch 1 inch down, or start stitching 1 inch down. I had a really hard time, and my sewing machine can sew through some stuff, but these seams right here down at the bottom, just take your time getting through them. It was tough, but we did it. Now I'm going to do the other side. matching up my center marks on both the side panel and the bottom of my purse. And I am going to see if I can butterfly these seams. I don't think I can, but if I can, it would be really nice. It would probably take out some, yeah, it would take out some of that bulk if you take the seam and spread it apart like that. It'll take out a little bit of that bulk. So when you're trying to sew it, you're not going over, you know, however many layers, 6 layers, I think. There we go, much better. So definitely try and butterfly those seams so they look a little bit better. Now, same thing, when you start here, when I take it to my sewing machine, I'm going to be starting here. You're going to need to mark 1 inch down so that you know where to stop. This will come in handy when you go to do the lining and insert the lining. It will all be revealed then. But I want to make sure that I leave myself a mark so I know where to stop. Let's go to the sewing machine and we will sew the other side on, and she's already looking cute. Cute. Alright, let's go sew that side on. So still got my stitch length at a 4. And I don't know if you guys noticed it or not, but when I start and when I stop, I'm stitching forward, stitching back, stitching forward again. You don't want to back stitch too much because it's going to show up like a sore thumb. Alright, so we are at the home stretch. For your lining, you're going to need your upper piece. You're going to need your 2 zipper pieces, zipper pocket pieces. You're also going to need your slip pocket piece and then your main panel plus your zipper overlay, which I still have to cut out. But the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take this piece right here and we're going to do the exact same thing that we did to our front of our panel. We're going to cut in to our marks and then fold this over to our 1 inch lines. If you haven't already, measure in 1 inch all the way around. I made sure that my Decoville light was 1 inch in so that it would fold over just like that and really nicely. So let me get my double-sided tape and we'll start on that. Alright, so we did our flap lining panel. I went ahead around and did the little corners just like we did on our other panel. Then you've got your lining piece D. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to be making sure that we add our lining flap to the top of our panel. You'll have to look at your pattern and see which end is up. When you're using a directional print, one side is going to be facing the wrong way. There's nothing you can do about it. So I would just use kind of like a regular print. I didn't think about it because the lining is going to go up like this. So when I'm looking in the bag, one of the sides is going to be upside down. It's fine. It's fine. Alright. You could always cut it in half, like right here, and then turn your piece around and make sure that you give yourself enough seam allowance so that both sides be facing the correct way if you want to go do all of that. Alright, so we're going to put right side to right side our lining flap with our lining body. Then we're going to go sew it. I'm going to go sew this with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. We're just going to be sewing where the flap meets the fabric all the way down to the end of the flap. Stop there, making sure to back stitch. Alright, so we're all attached. I made sure that I back stitched on both ends. Why is the word back stitched so hard to say? Okay. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to flip this over so that this excess fabric over here is turned under with the edge of the flap. And then what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to top stitch across there 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. Alright, so we're all top stitched across. I used a 4 stitch length for that. Now we're going to grab our zipper overlay. I am also going to grab my ruler and we're going to measure 1 inch down And then we're going to center our zipper overlay. And I'm doing this sideways, so we'll see. Alright, there we go. That's as centered as it's going to get, I think. So take your paper off, put it down, grab this other side, take your paper off, let it fall where it wants to fall. Now what we're going to do is with a 4-stitch length, we're going to sew around the outer part of our zipper overlay. We're not going to sew around this opening right here, just the outside for now. Alright, we're at a 4-stitch length. I'm going to start right in the corner. Alright, so we got our zipper overlay on. The next thing that we need to do is we need to fold this in half, making sure that we're cutting between the zipper overlay. I'm just going to make a little hole right in the center. I like to turn mine on the wrong side. You see all of your stitches, you're going to need to cut as close as you can to your stitches so that you cut all of this excess fabric away, making sure to not cut your zipper overlay. We're just cutting the fabric on the back of the overlay away. And that way it'll be out of our way when we go to do the zipper gusset, or the zipper pouch. And take your time with this, just make sure you don't cut your zipper overlay, otherwise you'll have to start all over again. Alright, so we've got that nice opening there. And you can see that the fabric is cut out from the front. Alright, now we're going to grab our zipper pockets and our zipper. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take our zipper with the wrong side to the right side of one of our fabrics. And we're going to sew all the way down our zipper, connecting our zipper and our first zipper pocket panel. First thing is first, now that we've got everything taped up, we need to put our zipper on. So we're going to put our zipper on the left side and then put the right side on. And I thought I burnt the ends of my zipper tape, but I must not have. Go ahead and get this side. Make sure that if you're using a nylon zipper tape that you go ahead and burn the ends so that they don't come unraveled. Alright, so first things first. I'm going to take the top tape off, the paper, not the important stuff, and we're going to center it right on our zipper overlay. Then flip this up. The sticky part is wanting to come up with it. Stay there. Alright, then let it fall down where it wants to. Alright, then we're going to take this to the sewing machine, and we're going to need to sew all the way around. I'm going to double check the instructions real quick, make sure I'm telling you right, but let's go back to the sewing machine. Alright, with your zipper pockets open just like this, we're going to flip it over, and then we're going to sew around our zipper overlay next to our zipper now. And I still have my stitch length at a 4. Alright, so our zipper overlay is all sewn. Also, I completely forgot to mention, when you put your zipper in, you want it to open to the right, close to the left. Just make sure that you do that. Alright, now what you're going to do is you're going to turn it over, and we're going to match up the sides. Now, you're going to have a little excess at the bottom, And that's alright, we'll cut that off later. Or as a matter of fact, we can do it right now. Alright, and then what you're going to do is turn it over and pull back your zipper overlay part a little bit, and I'm going to change my stitch length back to a 3. And then I'm just going to sew over the zipper. Alright, so our zipper pocket is all installed. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to grab our slip pocket, our little pocket trim, and what we're going to do is we're going to mark a 1/2 inch. So across the longest side, you're going to measure in 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch here. Then we're going to use some double-sided tape, and we're going to make that meet just like that. And we're going to do that on both sides. Okay, then what we're going to do, and I figured I had oriented my fabric the wrong way, is we're going to take it with both these turned in sides up, just like that. This piece right here. You're going to need to draw a line right down the center. I am so sorry, my camera died and I did not know it. Okay, so your zipper pocket trim, you're going to make a line down the center, put double-sided tape on the top and on the bottom. Then you're going to take your slip pocket piece, put it towards the center of your pocket trim, and then take the tape off and bend both sides down so that it's covered just like that. Now I'm going to take this to the sewing machine, and with a 4-stitch length I'm going to sew across this bottom. You can also sew across the top. It's up to you. Alright, so we have went ahead and sewn across there. I just did 1 stitch. 2 stitches looked kind of too busy, so I just did 1. What I'm going to do is I'm going to trim right on the edge on both sides. Then I'm going to grab the other end of my lining, and I can find my ruler. Alright, 2 inches down, we're going to center our slip pocket right there. You're going to take this to the sewing machine, and we're going to start stitching here, making sure to back stitch. Sew down, around, and back up. I have got my stitch length at a 4, and I am sewing 1/8 of an inch away from the edge around those 3 sides. Alright, slip pocket installed. I'll show you that in just a second, but while I had you at the sewing machine, I figured I'd go ahead and grab the side lining pieces. So you'll see these little cutouts. What we're going to do is we're going to take right side to right side and fold them like that. And then 1/4 of an inch, we're going to sew. I've got my stitch length at a 2.5. And I'm just going to do each of these right behind each other to save on a little bit of thread. I'm not sewing them together. I'm just sewing them right behind each other. Both of your side pieces should look like this when you're done. Alright, so we've got our side lining panels all done. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to turn them over to the wrong side, and we're going to measure 1 inch up from the top of our edge there. Remove your paper, make the fabric come down, and do that on both of your side panels. Then on your main panel, the side that we put the slip pocket on, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to measure 1 inch up. And if my paper will come off, there we go. Take the edge and meet that 1 inch mark. Alright, then we're going to take the top of our edges like that, and we're going to find the center mark, and you can make a mark, you can make a clip. We just need to know where that place is. Now we're going to take our side pieces, we're going to take the seams, meet them up, find the center, make a mark or a clip. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to start matching up our center marks. And I like to just clip 1 or 2 clips down the bottom, and then start at the top right there. And then just clip all the way around. Now we're going to go to the sewing machine and sew these together. Alright, I've got my stitch length at a 2.5. Our stitch seam allowance is 1/2 inch. Now go do that on the other side. Alright, we've got our lining, both of our side panels attached now. I went back, and you need to trim off your excess seam allowance. So there should be about 1/4 inch for you to work with. I cut just a little bit closer to my seams right up here on each side. Actually, that one could be a little bit shorter. Just for the next step, you don't want anything showing through. So I'm going to take my lining and place it into my outer bag. The next thing that we're going to do, you remember we left the 1 inch open right here? We're going to take our seams, making sure that we're matching up here. We're going to take our lining and push it in between, right like that. I'm going to clip it real quick, and I'm just going to double check that the top of my panel is still matching up right. May go ahead and clip that all together. But what you want to do is you want to go back for that 1 inch and sew up to the edge of the top of your side panel, and then 1/8 of a seam allowance. We're going to be using a 4 stitch length, and we're going to do that on this side and on this side. We're not sewing anything else right now. We're just sewing those corners. That's it. Alright, I've got my lining tucked in between the front and back of the panel. I also went ahead and just clipped all the way around just to kind of help me know that everything's where it's supposed to be before I go sew this on. Let's see, got my stitch length at a 4, and I'm just sewing right there. You want your lining to get caught, but you don't want it like sticking out, if that makes any sense whatsoever. You're just sewing to where you stopped the last time. Now we're going to turn that around, and we're going to do the same thing on this side. Alright, once you get your sides nice and tucked in, the next thing that they want you to do in the pattern is to go across the sides right here and just sew the sides. Okay, so I made a boo-boo. I forgot to add my other magnetic snap. The way that I'm going to fix that is I'm going to open up my zipper pocket and then put it up here. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to close this down like that, and then look to see where your male end is touching on the back of your lining panel, line it up, and then you find the spot where you need to put your other magnetic snap. Alright, in the pattern she wants you to leave the front and then the very top open so that you can slip in the Decoville heavy. You really need some sort of heavy stabilizer on the inside of this so that the bag will keep its shape. If you don't, it's going to slouch around and not look right. This is more of a structural structural type of bag. Now I've already put my one-sided interfacing in there and I'm happy with how it's standing up, so I'm not going to stress about that. What I am going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stitch across the top and then come over here and stitch along that. So let me do that. If you want to make the adjustable strap, there are directions in the written directions, but also there are a million videos out there on how to make an adjustable strap, and this video is already too long because I've already used 2 memory cards. So I'm going to cut it off here and we'll go to the outro. Alright guys, so what did you think? I really like this pattern. I really like the construction of it. I've never made a purse where you kind of fold the edges in and then put it all together. I'm always used to like taking a purse, you know, purse lining and a purse outing and then like pulling it through or binding it. I've never done anything like this before, so it was really cool to learn a new technique, to learn a new way to make a bag. It was just really cool. Will say that I struggled with the overlay. I am not gonna lie. So I would highly recommend taking some fabric that you're not super crazy about or that's not like super expensive and trying the overlay on first. I wouldn't cut into my really pretty fabric and then try to overlay it and try to make it. I would do it with some scrap fabric first. Just that way you make sure that you get it right and you know how to construct it first before you go using that really expensive fabric. And that's just my recommendation. You do you. But I cut out quite a few of these because of my perfectionism. I struggle with this. Once I got it to where I was okay and could let it go, it really looks nice. I think they're really going to sell well. I do think, and I'm not sure if she put it on the instructions or not, but I do really think that you need that rivet at the top. Most of the testers did that, and their handles stood up a lot better. As far as the construction, there were a couple of spots that were harder to sew through. Even with my fabricator, there's some of the stitches that I'm not super happy with. But just make sure that if you have one of those key fob things, that you could take this corner and kind of squish it down before you go to sew over it. I completely forgot to do that. So I think with my next one, I'll make sure that I squish this down and then sew the corners together. I really like the idea of taking a 12-inch vinyl and kind of cutting it into pieces and then sewing it back together so that you get the orientation of the print, at least on the front. At least on the front, facing the right way, and then having like a different color for your bottom. I really like that. I think it looks really nice and it makes it pop when you do look at it. It really makes the bag pop when you have that contrasting color in those spots. So I would definitely recommend the 12-inch. Just be prepared to put all of those pieces together. But I really like this bag. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, you can give it a thumbs up. Or if you want to subscribe and see some of the other ones, I have a couple more videos, tutorials for other people's patterns coming up soon, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss those. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section down below. And make sure that you check out Mekaposh's patterns. I will be leaving a link down below for you guys to grab your pattern, and I hope you guys like this bag. Let me know in the comment section if you've made it, if you have any questions about it, and thanks for joining us again on Faithworks Designs. Bye guys.